Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails, Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 8. Today, we're going to be recapping 2015, the birth of Trail Manners, and we will be talking about what you can expect from us in 2016. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Trail Manners Podcast. Joel here with me. Joel, can you already believe this is our 8th episode?
It's pretty crazy to think that we are not veterans, but we're still rookies, but 8 in is amazing.
I'm excited because it's been going so fast. I mean, once a week, that's not bad. And we waited so long to get our first show going. Now it's like boom, 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 boom.
I know. We're already looking at January, and the people we have lined up, I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. And before we jump into that, we probably just want to go ahead and thank everybody for making, our official launch in 2015 a success.
For sure.
We've got some good positive feedback. So, we don't mind that, coming through. But, we just wound up with our Kickstarter campaign.
Yep. And by the time this show airs, we're not going to know the results because this is going to air on, what was that, the 29th of December?
29th of December.
Yeah. So right now, we don't know what it's going to be like. We're close.
We're close.
We're pulling for it. But even if we do or don't make it, hey, we've got that nice little PayPal donate button on the side of the website.
Yes, we do.
If you're feeling generous, go ahead and head over there.
That's right, because we have costs regardless of what happens. Even when the equipment's done, we're still going to have costs going forward. So anything you can do to help us out would be great. The reason we are recording this show a little early is because it is a holiday season, and even though we're hardworking podcast crew, we need some time off with our families too.
Certainly. You're headed out to the desert, right?
I am headed out to Palm Springs and then shooting over real quick to the beach. And while I'm out there, we'll be checking some local joints for some beverage of choice to try new flavors and kind of search out some old veterans.
Looking for that Pliny, huh?
I got to find it. So if you hear that, hit me up on that one. Anything you can do to help us out, we'd appreciate it. It's kind of exciting with the Kickstarter campaign. We've seen a lot of people help us out there. I think we're going to make it. It's kind of like mile 80 of an ultra marathon where you just kind of got that I'm not sure thing, but you're going to get there. I think we'll pull through, and I hope I don't eat my words on that one. But anything you can do to help us out, Joe, why don't you also let people know about sponsorship?
That's right. So we are moving into the next phase of the Trail Manners Podcast. So we're going to start soliciting sponsors. That's right. You can sponsor a block of shows, 3 months, 6 months. Heck, you can even go for a whole year. And we'll have that information available for you if you go ahead and email us. And we look forward to having just somebody that just shares our values and our love of trail running. Yeah,
so you can get us on our website at trailmanners.com on the contact page, or you can just email us directly at manners@trailmanners.com. We'd love to hear from you. Love to work something out with you to kind of, help both of us out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the nuts and bolts of kind of our winding down 2015 introduction to 2016 and give people something to talk about.
Yeah, so in 2016, we've already got some really great guests lined up. I think our first one is going to be Jim Skaggs, the race director of the Buffalo Run, race director of Logan Peak, race director of Antelope Island Fall Classic, which has a 50K and a half marathon. So he's going to come in. He's going to throw down some great knowledge. He's been around forever.
Really has, actually.
Yeah, because he's just old, right?
Yeah, he's mumbles a lot too, right?
He does, but he's fast in his old age. He's hoping to go sub 30 this year at Wasatch. Will be pretty darn fast considering they changed the course.
I think he can do it.
Yeah, and then we're going to get Luke Nelson lined up here.
Yep.
He and I are trying to hash out some emails, and we'll get him on.
I think you're having a hard time with him because of the fresh snow we've got here in the northern part of the Utah / even in there in Idaho. He's out on. I think he's doing some turns.
Probably. I don't know if he's ski patrolling anymore or not, but yeah, he's probably out there running or skiing right now. And then we will get the folks from Crankjoy on. Now, this is going to be new for us because Crankjoy, well, it's a great website, but it's dedicated to mountain biking. And the folks behind that are Trish Davis and her sweet little husband, Chad. He's a nice fella, great mountain biker. But anyway, so they run this website called Crankjoy, and they spent last summer and all of the fall in their Sprinter van going from location to location, living the life, mountain biking like crazy. And Trish is a coach. She's a physical therapist as well. So we're going to pick her brain about some injury prevention. And then we're also going to talk to them about the van life.
Oh, that beautiful van life. That's going to be a great show. We also have a few more we've got lined up coming up. We've got the crew at Suffer Better. We can't wait to have them on. And a few others we're going to save. But January, we're looking booked. We got a great schedule lined up there. As we said, 2015's winding down. We've had great guests on, with Ty, Tara, Scott, Jenna Lynn.
Oh, yeah.
Our little Christmas show, which actually turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
And then we have another show that's going to launch with Brian Beckstead of Ultra Footwear. So Joel, let's transition. What's been going on? I mean, there's been so much chatter on social media, blog posts, websites. It's been blowing up, and why?
It's pretty crazy about doping. And this really came about from the I Run Far blah article that basically called out that lady from Italy that was coming over the race in the North Face endurance run and said that she shouldn't be allowed to run. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not going to drag her name through the mud, so we're not going to go ahead and name her because she's already had enough grief as it is. But the premise of the story was she was caught doping. I think her A test and her B test both showed, performance-enhancing drugs. And there's been a call for her to be banned for life from competition. And boy, people have got really strong opinions on that.
They really do, and both sides. That's a thing, and I think, just right on the heels of that came another one.
Yeah, I mean, Lance Armstrong went to this little, local race in California, 35K, and won it.
Yeah, and he won the Woodside Ramble. It was 35K in 3 hours, 36 minutes.
And people are pretty butthurt over that.
Big time.
Yeah, they sure are. So just, coming up to this last show, we're like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Well, this is pretty hot right now. So I figured, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it.
We'd love to hear your comments on that because I've heard both sides. I've heard people say, he should absolutely be banned, for not just the doping part, just kind of how far it went. I've heard people say, you know what, let him run. I mean, trail running community is all inclusive. It's, they let people in and maybe not let them be available if there's prize money.
Yeah.
And then I've heard people that say, it's a free country. If a race director wants them to run the race, it's their choice. And I think some of the sentiment from the race in California was from the race directors. People were wondering if there was going to be some type of, stance at the race, some type of, group gathering to kind of protest it or whatever, but apparently that went pretty good.
Yeah.
But whatever your stance is, I don't know if there's really a true right or wrong answer, to be honest with you.
Right. So this morning I was out running with Mother Farka, and we were talking about this quite a bit. And, we came up with, for both scenarios, if you're busted for hardcore EPO type of doping on multiple occasions, it should be a lifetime ban from podium, cash, and in our case, if there's a lottery, you shouldn't be able to enter into that lottery.
Yeah, that's something I haven't heard yet. That's a good idea.
I think that's only fair. Now, if you just want to go out and compete in that mom and pop race, go for it. I think that's totally legit because we're not talking about baby killers here.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
And you also have the other side, too, where people are thinking, well, he's bringing some unwanted attention to trail running. Trail running, well, it's just face it, it's changed.
Changed big time.
When we first started, even before that, it was so low-key. Lotteries were really not lotteries. If there's a lottery, it was real small. So now it's definitely gaining ground, picking up steam. People are all getting into it. So now it's like, well, I don't want him at a race because it's going to bring more attention and more people want to get in, and I can't race, or it's going to take those low-key races to another level. So there's so many different levels.
It's already out there.
Yeah.
Trail running's blowing up. It's getting big time. And if you don't want Lance coming running at your race, that just actually kind of looks bad upon you, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
it's up to the race director, really, in the end.
He's paid a big price for what he's done, and not to say that he, hasn't going forward. And like I said, I can see both sides of the story. And to be honest with you, I jostle with myself once in a while in my head, going, "Yeah, he shouldn't be." Well, the guy, he's paid his dues. He did
kind of destroy some people along the way.
He destroyed people. He destroyed, loved ones, companies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done some things.
Those people are being well compensated right now.
And I see where people have come across the line of saying, well, he's done so much for Livestrong.
Yeah.
And, coming from a family with cancer, some close people to me, what he's done is really, you can't measure. He's done so many positive things for that. And, so to sit and weigh it back and forth, you could do it all day long. You could do it, well into the night.
Right. Well, so along those lines, we're moving on to the next hot topic. Western states.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Oh, man. This is a big can of worms right here. So, the backstory is, Western states, you have to have a qualifier. Mm-hmm. You have to run 100K within the finishing allotted time. And basically, the man who founded Western States, Gordy.
That's right.
Didn't have a qualifier in 2015. And I don't remember if it was him that fired the first shot or one of his buddies, but I tell you what, those posts were everywhere. Let Gordy run.
That's right. It's like stop pre, and that's a whole nother thing. And I did not honestly see the negative side to this. Like, I didn't see people saying no, he shouldn't. He didn't do it within the rules. It was more, I think, along the lines of, come on, really? I mean, This guy literally is the founder of ultra running, and it would have came along eventually for sure. But the way it came about, the story we get to tell on how it happened, I think is priceless.
Absolutely. I mean, really, in the end of the day, the Western States Board can go ahead and grandfather him in for the next 5 to 10 years, and it's not going to be impacting the race negatively, meaning that it's not going to take a spot away from somebody that's more likely to finish the race.
Yeah, because there's people that drop before him when he drops too. So,
true, and if we look over the
dice.
So if we look over the last few years, Gordy really has not finished the race. He's either timed out or he's dropped out due to fatigue, heat, so on and so forth. So let the guy run.
It's not going to hurt anything.
No,
and
the
people that do get butthurt about, well, he didn't do this, and I have to qualify, and he doesn't. Well, I'll tell everybody out there right now, you haven't done nearly what he's done for the sport.
Definitely not. Like I said, I think the board just needs to make that. Just grandfather him in for the next few years. There's got to be, a small attrition rate that does not show up to the starting line every year. So just factor his spot into that.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job by saying, okay, let's get him in there. And there's been some posts about some sponsors that were wondering how they should approach it.
Right.
And I think that's a good way to do it. But if you've ever met the guy, why wouldn't you want him around?
Right.
The guy's just a riot. I had the absolute pleasure when I went to Western States to do some pacing duties. I got to meet him, and it wasn't like a long conversation. It was more or less, hey, there's this guy, there's this idol. I just walked over and said, hey, how's it going? Yeah, and I went and talked to him, and he greeted me, and he was super nice, and I didn't stick around and take a selfie or anything, but it was a cool moment.
Selfies weren't a thing back then.
Yeah, they weren't back then at all. I don't even know if I think I had a flip phone then as
yeah.
well, so I don't know if my camera, it could even have a camera on it, to be honest with you.
So I think, along that lines, another person that's kind of lobbying it again is that cowman. He's that guy that wears that silly, cow hat. I'm not quite sure that he should have the same status as Gordy. All right, let's be honest here. Because they're both kind of back of the packer guys, and they both eventually drop out. Let's just make an exception for Gordy. I think that's reasonable.
I think it is too, and he's always welcome, and he's welcome on our show too. You hear that, Gordy? I know you listen, so you might as well come on and reach out to
or
us.
if you know Gordy, maybe you should send him our way.
That's right. We wouldn't mind at all. So, those are some definitely hot topics that have been going around a little bit. I know, coming up, we've got some other draws some other lotteries. January 1 is like the ultra running Christmas day. I think most races open up on January 1st anymore, so people are going to be busy at their computer and their laptops and trying to, get into their
I don't know.
races.
You think that most people are just, already got their calendar set for next year, and most of the races are already open, it seems like. It used to be that way, right? Where January 1st was that, okay, we're going to open up today. But now, look at Matt Gunn. He opens his freaking race the day after one's completed for next year.
And if I was a race director, I'd probably do the same thing. You want to grab them while it's hot, and you want to get them before they want to choose. There's so many races out there. But there's still quite a few races I know that do January 1, and there's some date changes. There's some later lotteries like a Western States. I know Waldo is even though it's under the radar a little bit, still a big
San
one.
Juan Solstice.
San Juan Solstice there in Lake City. So there's still quite a few going on. And
we got Wasatch coming up too.
Yep, Wasatch. So Hard Rock and, Western are done, and those are the big ones. So
Leadville's coming up, right?
I think so.
I mean, I don't really pay attention to Leadville all that often because it kind of scares me because there's a lot of running on that course.
There's a lot of cars on that course too.
Yeah.
But I think, it's kind of getting that time of year. And, the other thing we want to talk about is, we're in Utah, so we've got a lot of snow. This has been a bigger year to start with for sure.
It was gorgeous up until just a week ago. I mean, last Saturday, Eric and I went out. We put a 12-miler in on the north side of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and it was freaking awesome.
Dirt
and warm and just yummy. Yeah. And now it's 2 feet of snow on the single track.
Yeah, I actually spiked myself the other day when we went running. That wasn't very friendly to me, but...
Yeah, those Catula spikes are not very forgiving.
No, I love wearing them because I always feel like a cowboy when I'm walking through the parking lot.
Heck yeah, you sound good too.
I do, actually.
Clink, clink, clink.
So, we just want everybody to be careful out there. We got New Year's Eve coming up.
We do.
And a lot of people like to have fun and a lot of year-end parties and a lot of running get-togethers and things like that. Just be safe. That way, you can be around to listen to our shows come out in January and be safe and healthy. Same thing out on the trails.
Definitely.
Where we're at, we have some little kitty critters that like to get out a little bit more during this time of year, so we got to be a little extra sensitive to those guys.
And the moose are more cranky than normal.
That's true.
If that's can be believed.
Yeah,
they're already pretty cranky.
They are pretty cranky. So they're big, so they can
they'll
do some damage.
Stomp the mess out of you if you're not careful.
You can ask Carl. He had that run in a bighorn a few years ago.
I had to play rope-a-dope with one once around a tree. It scared the mess out of me. Another thing that we want you to be safe about is avalanches.
Yes.
To be honest, there's a lot of people in the Wasatch that are getting up high right now. They're getting after it. Folks, you got to know your stuff.
Yep.
And if you don't know something, you got to go with somebody that knows it.
It's. I think there was a class or a training down at Park City Running Company or down in the
it was Park
Wasatch
City.
Wranglers. Yeah, and they did a little avalanche safety training, and I wish I'd have been able to go down to it, but it's serious stuff.
It is. Don't mess around with that higher elevation stuff unless you know where you're going, you know what you're doing. Stick to the lower elevation trails. Be safe out there, folks.
And Scott Jaime, who's out there, has been on the show. He has been caught in an avalanche and busted his femur, so he'll tell you firsthand you got to stay away from avalanches.
For sure. Be safe, folks.
So we'll be right back to pop another beer, so stay tuned.
Hi, this is Ty Draney, and you're listening to the Trail Manners Podcast, bringing the dirt and the vert.
Okay, welcome back to the show. We want to wrap things up a little bit, but first, Joe, we've got our own, show sponsor. I wouldn't say sponsor, but maybe this show's been brought to you by.
Yeah,
right?
This individual show right here,
Yeah.
which is show 8.
This is show 8, which happens to be my favorite number, so that's a good thing. And Joel was kind enough for show 8. We have some Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA.
It's a great afternoon beer.
Oh, it's an all-around. It's a top 5 for me, without a doubt, without a question. So, this show's been brought to you by Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA.
It's yummy.
So, Joel, we're wrapping up 2015. We mentioned it briefly, but let's tell our folks out there, what can they look forward to in 2016 from Trail Manners?
Well, obviously we've had, I think, a success in the podcast. I'm really pleased with it. Everybody we talk to says, hey, that was better than I expected.
Yeah.
Which I'm not quite sure how to take that.
Yeah.
But I'll take it as a win, really.
I'll take it as a win because this is all new to me.
It's new to me as well, and we've learned a lot up until this point, and we're trying to make it better every single week. Every single time we sit down to do this podcast, we're trying to improve upon last time.
Yep.
So what we're looking forward to in 2016 is we have, continuation of great articles from Ty Draney. Scott Jaime, he should be getting us an article here shortly. Also, we have somebody new coming on, Jim Skaggs. He is actually a really good writer.
He is a really good writer for engineer, right?
Yeah, for an engineer, he's a really good writer.
He doesn't get us his stuff in spreadsheets or anything, so that's a good sign.
That's for sure. But he is going to be having an article called Ramblings of an Old Man. And I've got the first article. It's a doozy. You'll love it.
It's a good one.
Also, we're going to improve upon our website. I just wanted to get something up fast, minimal viable product. It doesn't look bad, but I know I can do a better job. So I'm going to go ahead and crank on that, get that out so it looks better, easier to find articles.
And you'll be seeing a lot of different articles, too. We're going to have some, like we mentioned with the people we've already got coming on, we also have stuff involving, kind of like that balance of, kind of that stretching, the yoga, the finer things of recovery and flexibility. We will have some stuff on, kind of foam rolling, IT massage, the massage part of things, or the recovery. We have Trish that we're going to pick her brain a little bit.
Definitely. We might get Nate Graven on there, too.
Oh, yeah. So, we have some of that coming up. We also, have something that we're going to enjoy here, and we're going to come out with a guide.
Oh, yeah.
A runner's perspective, not a website /RD/ whoever writes for that website. We're going to come out with
somebody's race report.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to come out with a runner's perspective of what to expect at a race. So you say any race. Let's pick one right now. We'll say Squaw Peak 50. It's kind of close by.
Or Red Hot 50K.
Red Hot 50K may be our first one because that's coming up.
It probably should be our first one.
And we'll do a lot. And basically what's going to be is a runner's perspective of a lot of different things as far as, what to really expect. Not what the sales pitch is, but how the aid stations truly are.
Yeah, we're going to give you honest.
Yeah, how the lodging is, how the travel is, how the course lays out, how
Right.
it plays out.
So a little preview,
Yeah,
but an honest preview.
An honest preview, and that's not just going to be from me and you or people affiliated with the race. That's going to be from really random people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a few people write a few different articles. Obviously, we're Utah, Western area heavy.
Yeah.
But we are looking and talk to a few people on the East Coast.
That's right.
Centrally.
I can think of the Black Mountain Run in North Carolina. That would be a good one. That's coming up in, I believe that's a February race.
So we're going to bring that, and I think that's going to be a fun little thing that we can add to the website. And I know Joel, he'll be the first one to kind of play it down, but Joel is the one that designed the Trail Manners website. He's got some things I haven't seen that he's going to surprise us with.
That's right.
But it's way beyond even now what I was hoping for. So, from my perspective, thank you that it's making this dream come a reality on many fronts. So, but there's a lot of stuff you're going to see. You're going to see stuff on nutrition. We'll have some more with Ty Draney on coaching, who has picked up a few more clients.
He did. He picked up quite a bit of clients off of that last podcast we did.
Yes, he did. So,
you know what he's got up right now? He's got up his individual plans for Vaquero Loco, the Scout Mountain Ultra, and now, folks, pay attention to this one. If you're going to run the Bear, you need to pick up his plan. It's only $100. It should come out by Christmas. So by the time you hear this, it should be up.
$1 a mile.
Yeah, right?
I'm in.
How awesome is that?
How much do you spend on the race, on the travel, everything else, and you can get a race plan for $100?
And, initially when I was talking to him about this, he said, well, I'll try to do a 5-month plan. That's ridiculous, folks. 5 months for $100.
Wow.
You're pretty much going to get a PR just off of that.
That's great, and that's what we want to do. But at the same time, we want to hear from you. We've had some people reach out to us, but we want to hear, what do you want to see? What do you want to see from us? What do you want to hear from us? Or do you want to contribute in some way?
That's right. We're always looking for contributors.
And someone asked me, how do you guys pay? And I said, we are paying in hugs, high fives,
beer.
And
if you drink beer,
potentially some beverages, and that has to be, you really got to contribute for that. Otherwise, you get hugs and high fives.
Yeah, you're not getting any Plinies out of us.
No, sorry. You can bring them to us.
Yeah. We'll accept that as gratitude.
So, again, speaking by myself here, I cannot tell everybody out there how much we appreciate of all the people listening, rating us on iTunes. We still, hope people can get on there and do some of that.
That'd be great.
But we appreciate your following us, your emails, your questions, your cyber high fives. I've got a few of those.
Oh, yeah.
But, this is basically just a couple guys doing something that they want to do. had a little struggle getting it off the ground because, there's some technology involved on this mixer board and these mics.
Yeah, that mixer board just scares me.
It does scare me too.
I hope our Kickstarter goes through so we can get rid of this mixer board.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw a plug here because I am a geek, but it kind of reminds me of something you'd see on the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, we're going to see that next week.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, Joel, I don't know how you want, I'll let you wrap up here in a second, but everybody out there, I want to say thank you very much. Reach out to us. Let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear on the show. If you want to be on the show, if you want to contribute, this is for you. I mean, we have fun doing it. We're spoiled that way, but this is for people out there who want to have a good listen, a good time, and maybe learn a thing or two.
I hope so.
So, Joel, you can sign us out here.
Yeah, so from myself and from Eric Manning and from all of our guests, and to all you listeners out there, we want to thank you for making 2015 great, and we look forward to making 2016 even better. Thank you very much.